let's get back in. We've got young people coming into the market. We've got 10 million people in Reddit. They need to be educated. That's the solution, Andrew. And I know that that's old-fashioned, but I think it would really help because I know that some people feel a lot of money has to be lost. I'd like people to make money as long as they understand that it's not a game. It's not a game.
How's it going, memers? So if you've been following the CNBC brand of financial news in recent days, you'd probably noticed that Mad Money personality Jim Cramer has been speaking out against those that are taking part in the recent meme stock rallies, not just this last week, which I've kind of gotten caught up into, but going back to as far as January and February when all the GameStop stuff had begun. And anyway, it's kind of said some things saying that basically alluding that the people taking part are not educated and don't know what they're doing. They don't do any research and stuff like that, and it's just all risk. Well, anyone who goes into the stock market knows that it's risky, and that's why there's a high risk, high return sort of atmosphere to it. But I think he underestimates a lot of the people taking part in this, and he's actually got a bit more in common with the people who involved with the meme stocks than he might care to admit. So just to show Jim Cramer that us people who are engaged in some of the meme stocks are somewhat educated, I'm going to present a bit of research into Jim Cramer. And of course, being the good researcher I am, I'm going to the best source of information, Wikipedia. Okay, so this is what Wikipedia says about Jim Cramer. I'll skim through it because he's actually got quite a long page written about him. So just gives you the basic information. He was born in 1955 and he hosts Mad Money on CNBC. Early life, he's from Pennsylvania. His parents are Jewish. Cramer's mother was an artist. His father owned a packaging products company in Philadelphia. Among his first jobs, starting in '71, Cramer sold Coca-Cola and ice cream at Veterans Stadium during Philadelphia Phillies games. Cramer began studying stocks in the 4th grade and continued the habit through high school. So he's like Warren Buffett, selling Coca-Cola and getting into stocks at a very young age. All right, so education and career. So he's claiming that a lot of people involved in meme stocks are not educated. So let's see what he's got. Okay, so 1977, Cramer graduated magna cum laude from Harvard College with a Bachelor of Arts in Government. While at Harvard, Cramer was the president and editor of Harvard Crimson. Additionally, Harvard was a National Merit Scholar. He's a pretty good student. Okay, he goes to Harvard and he's some good accolades there. Okay, respect. After college, Cramer was an entry-level reporter making $15K a year. Worked at the Tallahassee Democrat in Florida. He was one of the first people to cover the Ted Bundy murders. Oh, okay. And he subsequently worked for Los Angeles Herald-Examiner. He also worked for Governor of California, Jerry Brown. Cramer was one of the first reporters at American Lawyer. In 1984, Cramer received a Juris Doctor degree from Harvard Law School. My wife has that same degree, not the same school though. Cramer started investing in the stock market while he attended law school. He made enough from trading to cover tuition. Well, that's kind of what a lot of people in this are doing. A lot of people caught up in the meme stocks, they're young, they're millennials, they owe a lot of money for college loans, so they're trying to do the same thing. Alright, they want to pay for their college just like you did. Don't deny them that, Jim. Come on, mate. Cramer began promoting his holdings by leaving stock picks on his answering machine, while Harvard alumnus Michael Kinsley introduced him to the new public owner Martin Peretz, who contacted Cramer to write a book review. After first profiting from his stock picks, he heard on Cramer's answering machine that Peretz gave Cramer $500,000 to invest. In 2 years, Cramer made $150,000 for Peretz. That's pretty good. That's about 30% over 2 years, 15% a year. During his years at Harvard Law School, Cramer worked as a research assistant to Alan Dershowitz. He assisted Dershowitz's campaign to acquit alleged murderer Klaus Von Bolo, despite the fact that Cramer believed Von Bolo was supremely guilty. So there you go. You work against your moral compass as well. You're just like us. But yeah, basically it sort of shows that maybe you don't necessarily always follow your moral compass there with that case there, Jimmy. Alright, moving on. So this goes on to his career. It talks a few things. Talks about how he started off as a stockbroker in 1984 at Goldman Sachs, and was also admitted to the New York State Bar in 1985 and lost his practicing license in 2009 because he didn't pay the registration fee. That makes sense. If you're not going to use it, why pay for it? Okay, basic start there. He started a hedge fund in 1987 once he left Goldman Sachs called Cramer & Co. Later became Cramer and Berkowitz & Co. The fund operated out of the offices of Michael Steinhardt. Early investors included friend and classmate Elliot Spitzer, Steve Brill and Martin Peretz. Cramer raised $450 million in 5 million increments and received a fee of 20% of the profits he generated. Cramer claims to have sold all of his stocks on the day before Black Friday 1987. Well, that would be very fortuitous if he actually did do that. It's just a claim, but who knows. From 1988 to 2000, Cramer claims to have had only 1 year of negative returns, being 98, a year when the S&P 500 rose 29%. Oh, so he didn't do very good that year. He could have done quite well. The underperformance in 1998 led to significant investor withdrawals. In 1999, the fund returned 47%, and in 2000 it returned 28%, beating the S&P index by 38%. Cramer claims to have produced a 24% average annual return over 14 years and routinely taken home $10 million a year or more. However, his results have been disputed. Okay, so he sort of seems like someone who just like blows his own horn and doesn't necessarily always respond to criticisms of his actual performance. So we don't actually know how well he's going. It's just what he's telling people. It's just like me. On Friday I made $10 million. I'm not going to show you how, but I'm a bit of a Jim Cramer. In 2001, Cramer retired from managing the hedge fund. So not long after, the fund was taken over by his former partner, Jeff Berkowitz. Then he started Smart Money. Cramer was also editor-at-large Smart Money. Made $2 million personal gain after buying stocks just before his recommendations and articles were published. So it sounds like he'd buy stocks and then write about them in the magazine. A bit dodgy. Okay, then to TheStreet.com. In 1996, Cramer and Peretz launched TheStreet.com, a financial literacy website. Cramer remains the company's most notable commentator and provides transaction details for his Action Alerts Plus portfolio, a charitable trust for paid subscribers of the site. In August 2019, the Maven acquired the company for $16.5 million. Good little piece of business. Cramer was a frequent guest commentator on CNBC in the 1990s. From 2002 to 2005, Cramer co-hosted Kudlow and Cramer with Larry Kudlow. Mad Money with Jim Cramer first aired in 2005 on CNBC. The goal of the show was to provide people engaging do-it-yourself investing with the knowledge and tools that will empower to do a better investor. This is what's going on. People do the investing themselves. They're not giving the money to hedge funds. They're actually doing it themselves, just like you have been championing on your show, just maybe not the way you want them to or in your interests. I suspect Cramer may hold a few short positions that he doesn't care to admit, and the meme stock rallies are kind of making him feel the pinch a little bit. Anyway, Cramer is required to disclose any positions he holds in a stock that is discussed on the show and is not allowed to trade any security he has spoken about on CNBC for 5 days following the broadcast. I wish they'd just say what stocks he's shorting at the moment, because then we could drive them up. Alright, other media appearances. Cramer hosted a 1-hour show, Jim Cramer's Real Money, until December 2006, which spawned Mad Money. In a 60-minute interview in 2005, main topics of discussion were Cramer's past at his hedge fund, including his violent temper. He does seem like an angry guy. Cramer appeared as himself in 2 episodes of Arrested Development. He announced that he had upgraded Blue Company stock to a don't buy from a triple sell, and then to say that the stock was not a don't buy anymore but a risky. There's always more money in the banana stand. Anyway, Cramer also made late night appearances on all these other shows. And he was a guest, they're all mainly late night shows, like Jay Leno, Letterman, Kimmel. And he was a guest judge on The Apprentice in 2007. Yep. Cramer made, he was in the Iron Man, spoofing Stark Industries on his Mad Money, and he appeared in the movie Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. He also claims to have consulted for the original Wall Street movie by telling filmmakers how he would get through to Gordon Gekko. Okay, good for you. Next section in his Wikipedia is Controversies, and this is really long. This is actually the longest part of the page. More controversies than other stuff. Alright, I don't know if I can go through all this. This could take a while. So Controversies. So he had a Fox News lawsuit in 2000. Cramer and TheStreet.com settled a lawsuit with Fox News channel in which Fox had claimed Cramer had reneged on a deal to produce a show for Fox. The conflict began when Fox complained that Cramer provided TheStreet.com stock on its network. Okay, so he settled that, so obviously he was in the wrong. Admission of market manipulation. So in a December 2006 interview, Cramer described activities used by hedge funds, fund managers to manipulate stocks prices, some of debatable legality and others illegal. He described how he could push stocks higher or lower with as little as $5 million in capital when he was running his hedge fund. So he's basically admitting to stock manipulation here. Cramer said, a lot of times when I was short at my hedge fund, when I was positioned short, meaning I needed it down, I would create a level of activity beforehand that could drive the futures. He also encouraged hedge funds to engage in this type of activity because it is a very quick way to make money. He's basically admitting to everything that's wrong with the hedge fund industry, which people don't like. This is one of the catalysts for why the meme stocks are taking off. They don't like the hedge funds, they don't like the way they manipulate money and they take it all for themselves. And he champions this. So he's kind of, I don't know. Anyway, what does it say? So Cramer stated that everything he did was legal. Yeah, right. But that illegal activity is common in the hedge fund industry as well. He also stated some hedge fund managers spread false rumors to drive stock down. What's important when you are in the hedge fund mode is not to do anything remotely truthful, because the truth is so against your view that it's important to create a new truth to develop a fiction. Cramer described a variety of tactics that hedge fund managers use to affect stock prices. Cramer said that one strategy to keep the stock price down is to spread false rumors to reporters he described as the Pisanis of the world, in reference to CNBC correspondent Bob Pisani, who Cramer insinuated was able to be manipulated, saying, "You have to use these guys." He also discussed giving information to the bozo reporter from the Wall Street Journal to get an article published. Cramer said the practice, although illegal, is easy to do because the SEC doesn't understand it. During the interview, Cramer referred to himself as a banking class hero. God, this guy's a bit full of himself. Alright. He's not a hero of the people, that's for sure. As a manager of his hedge fund, Cramer claims to have realised a rate of this is about his performance of investments. He claimed to realise a rate of return of 24% after all fees for 15 years. Until he retired from the hedge fund in 2001, he also reported a 36% return in 2000 at the peak of the dot-com bubble. However, this performance has not been independently verified. In January 2000, close to the peak of the dot-com bubble, Cramer recommended investing in technology stocks and suggested a repeat of the stock performance of 1999. In February 2000, the year in which Cramer claimed to have produced a 36% return, Cramer claimed that there were only 10 stocks he wanted to buy to own, and he was buying them every day. These stocks were I'll read them out. 74 Solutions, Ariba, Digital Island, X's Communications, InfoSpace, Inktomi, Mercury Interactive, Sonera, VeriSign, and Veritas Software. That's that company that's got caught up in some of the voter fraud stuff that went on after the most recent election. He also dismissed the investing strategy of Benjamin Graham and David Dodd. So he's gone He's gone anti-Buffett here, because Buffett swears by Benjamin Graham and David Dodd, and claimed that price-earnings ratios did not matter. All 10 of these stock picks fell in value significantly during 2000 at the dot-com bubble burst, making a 36% reported return during that year questionable. I'd say so too. They're all tech, basically. On October 6, 2008, today, when the S&P 500 was valued at 1,056, Cramer suggested to investors, whatever money you need for the next 5 years, please take it out of the stock market. 5 months later, the market bottomed at 666, 36.9% decline. 5 years later, on October 6, 2013, the S&P 500 index was valued at 1,678 points, an increase of 58.7. So you basically told people to take their money out for 5 years, and they missed out on a return of 58.7%. Geez, not great advice. Not great advice to have on a TV show. Cramer recommended investing in Bear Stearns, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Lehman Brothers before the stocks fell in value significantly. On the 8th of August 2008, before the climax of the financial crisis of 2007-8, Cramer recommended investing in bank stocks. And on August 20, 2007, article in the Wall Street Journal stated his picks haven't beaten the market over the past 2 years. Viewers holding Cramer's stocks would be up 12%, while the Dow rose 22% and the S&P 500 16%. And then a February 2009 article in the Wall Street Journal noted that betting against Cramer's buy recommendations using short-term options could yield 25% a month. Gosh, not. Yeah, so yeah, I guess like you can always find something that does better in the market. So I've got to say it's hard to find the best stock to buy, and I'll never claim to be able to pick the best stock out there, but he does though. And he gets it wrong every time. At least he tries, I guess. But it's dangerous. Anyway, look at this one. Recommendation regarding Bear Stearns in March 2008. So this is an interesting one. So on the 11th of March episode in 2008 of Cramer's show Mad Money, a viewer named Peter submitted the question, should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? Cramer responded, no, Bear Stearns is not in trouble. If anything, they're more likely to be taken over. Don't move your money from Bear. On March 14, 2008, the stock lost more than half of its value on news of a Fed bailout and a $2 share takeover by JP Morgan Chase. On March 17, 2008, Cramer claimed his statements were made in regards to the liquidity of accounts held at Bear Stearns as opposed to the stock. Cramer stated he was not recommending the common stock, but allaying concerns about the account holders' liquidity held in Bear Stearns' brokerage account. So he's now saying, when I read that, I thought it meant that he was saying sell the stock. Oh, don't sell the stock, but now he's trying to say don't take the money out of your bank account with them. And yeah, it's a bit grey there. I can see why it's grey. Cramer later wrote about the incident, I did tell an emailer that his deposit in his account at Bear Stearns was safe, but through a clever soundbite, Jon Stewart and subsequently Frank Rich, neither of whom have bothered to listen to the context of the pull quote, pass off the notion of account safety as an out-and-out buyout recommendation. The absurdity astounds me. If you called Mad Money and asked me about Citigroup, I would tell you that the common stock might be worthless, but I would never tell you to pull your money out of the bank because I was worried about its solvency. Your money is safe in Citi, as I said it was in Bear. The fact that I was right rankles me even more. The article by author Michael Lewis for Bloomberg's news stated that TheStreet.com listed Bear Stearns as a buy at $62 per share on March 11, 2008, which was the same day as the caller's question and a day before the collapse of Bear Stearns. He's just trying to cover himself. It really sounds like it. All right. So during the Jon Stewart Jim Cramer conflict, on the Daily Show on March 12, 2009, Cramer admitted he made mistakes on his Bear Stearns calls. So you can't, yeah. I don't know. I don't think I can totally side with Cramer on that one. That sounds a bit dodge. Anyway. Oh, I think it was a performance of Action Alerts Charitable Trust. Anything useful? So it's basically saying that again he was misleading people of how well the charitable trust he I guess he runs performed. He's saying it outperformed the S&P 500 index and Russell Index 2000, but he wasn't taking into account reinvesting of dividends from those indexes while his fund was. So, and it looks like S&P and the Russell, or the S&P 500 would have outperformed him by about 3% a year. So another misleading claim. Next controversy is criticism of President Obama's policies in March 2009. Just try and skim this. He said Barack Obama's is responsible for the greatest wealth destruction I have ever seen by a president, and offended presidential administration shot back the press secretary Robert Gibbs, saying, if you turn on a certain program, it's geared to a very small audience. I'm not entirely sure what he's pointing to. Make some of the statements. You can go back and look at any number of statements he's made in the past about the economy and wonder where some of the backups for those are too. Okay, so just firing back. On March 5th, 2009. Yeah, it's just all around the financial crisis. I think Cramer really kind of soiled his name during this period of time, so I don't hold much stock in what he says, especially at this time anyway. All the controversies seem to be around this time, okay? And Cramer kind of went on and sort of said some other stuff. Alright, and then he had a debate with Frank Rich afterwards. Charges leveled against Cramer by the New York Times columnist Frank Rich. Cramer said that he does not understand how Obama and his staff plan to raise taxes, institute cap and trade limitations, and rework the healthcare system, all during a recession. The article says it isn't that Cramer disagrees with Obama's vision for the country. He even agrees with taxing the rich, but now is not the time to put those plans into action. The president needs to solve our housing, employment, and financial problems, and only then turn his attention to healthcare and changing the mortgage deduction. Okay. So what? There's just so much here. The debate with Jon Stewart in 2009. What's the main thing here? It's just basically Stewart reiterated earlier claims regarding CNBC's host silly and/or embarrassing and/or stupid financial observations. Moreover, he claims CNBC shirked its journalistic duty by believing corporate lies rather than being an investigative powerful tool of elimination. Cramer disagreed with Stewart on a few points, but acknowledged he could have done a better job foreseeing the economic collapse. Just more sort of stuff there. He had some criticisms of the Federal Reserve. In what was described as a rant, Cramer made a plea for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates. Cramer said the Fed committee, they're nuts, they know nothing, this is a different kind of market. This is just like someone, he's just basically almost saying what he wants or he thinks he wants his viewers to hear, and just criticising people that obviously study this stuff for a job, whereas he just kind of, is a mouthpiece. Doesn't necessarily have the type of research behind him that he should have. Maybe he should read Wikipedia more. Alright, what else do we have? SEC subpoena of journalists in conjunction with its investigation of Gradient Analytics. So in February 2006, US Securities and Exchange Commission served subpoenas requesting information from several journalists, including Cramer, in conjunction with allegations of collusion between short sellers of Overstock.com and Gradient Analytics, a stock research firm. The SEC indicated it had no intention of enforcing the subpoenas after lawyers for Dow Jones objected to the government's demands for communications between journalists and their sources. SEC Chairman Christopher Cox said neither he nor any of the SEC's 4 other commissioners were aware of subpoenas, which he called highly unusual. And then last one he says is he called House Speaker Nancy Pelosi Crazy Nancy during an interview. She's a bit crazy. On September 15, 2020, Cramer addressed House Speaker Nancy Pelosi as Crazy Nancy during a TV interview, then sent several tweets in which he defended his actions before apologising for using the phrase, which was also employed frequently by then President Donald Trump. During a discussion about the likelihood of a coronavirus relief bill, Cramer expressed doubt over the deal, saying, "I mean, what deal can we have Crazy Nancy?" He then quickly added, "I'm sorry, that was the president. I have such reverence for the office. I would never use that term, but you just did." Pelosi replied. Crazy to the face. Oh, okay. I've got a bit more respect for Cramer now. Oh, so there's a fair bit of controversy there. That took a while to read through. I'm not going to go through his personal life stuff or his bibliography stuff. That's not really worth doing. He's an Eagles fan. There you go. Anyway, so you've got a bit more in common with the meme stock people than you think, Jim. You know, you think we don't do our research. It sounds like you've got a history of not doing your research. Plus, you've got a history of a bit of manipulation there. But you do score some points for calling Nancy Pelosi crazy during an interview. Oh, anyway, these meme stock rallies, I'm sure they're going to continue because, you know, just as you admitted, the hedge fund behaviour, it's not what people like. Anyway, sorry for ranting and reading through this Wikipedia page. I'll put it up there so you can all have a look at yourself. Otherwise, you can just listen to this as a soundbite. Alright guys, have a good afternoon. See ya.